Hi again, students. We'll be in chapter 12 talking about bias. Today's the first day of September. Well, I hope today's August 31st for you and you're watching this before the first day of September tomorrow. Okay. So just some reminders that our quiz will be this Thursday. It'll be at the end of class. We'll go over things on Tuesday, and then the first half of class on Thursday we'll review everything. There's an optional practice assignment which will be really good for you to look through. Remember, all odd answers are in back of book, okay? So you can always go back and check your answers in the back, all right? And then I have office hours too, so that'd be a good time to come and ask questions. Today there are 5 key vocabulary terms that we're going to be covering. Convenience sampling we talked about a little bit on Monday in class, but we'll be covering the rest, okay? A lot of these you can kind of understand the meaning just by the term itself, but here we go, okay? So what I want to do right now is I'll give you an example. Let's say I wanted to know, how do Marshall students feel about Dr. Anderson? So I'm going to go and ask students, I'm going to survey students asking this question on a scale of 1 through 5, 1 meaning you very much dislike him and 5 meaning you very much like him. How do you feel about Dr. Anderson? And I'm not interested in the US population or Pasadena folks or anything like that. I'm only going to look at our population. I'm going to decide it's going to be just Marshall students, okay? And this will be from 6th through 12th grade. Okay, so that's my population. Again, I don't care about how parents feel, I don't care how about the teachers feel, okay? Just you students. So let's say my first scenario, I'm gonna ask just the first 5 students that appear to class on Thursday. First 5 of you guys, you AP Stat students who arrive. Now, think about what type of method this is. On Monday, we talked about the 6 different types of sampling. And the last one that's not very good, this is convenience sampling, okay? Remember, we don't like convenience sampling. Convenience sampling lacks randomization. In statistics, we love things to be randomized. We love for the jar of sticks to be shaken up. We love for whatever, using a random number generator, random digit table, okay? So this is now convenience sampling. So think about what kind of bias could be produced here if we did it this way. Okay. The first, most obvious one is we are excluding an entire group of people. Okay. Remember, AP Stats is open only, well, not only, but this year we only have 11th and 12th graders. So we are under coverage of 6th through 10th graders. Is that correct? I said that our population was 6th through 12th graders. But just by asking the AP Stat students, I've undercovered these grade levels. Okay, so I've only got responses from 12th and maybe some 11th, but you might also argue that I undercovered the 11th graders. Okay, so this is not a very good design. It's not a good survey method, okay? So let's say I want to improve, and now I want to randomly select 10 students from my 5 classes, okay? So remember, if my population is Marshall students, and you may not know what 5 classes I have, okay? So period 1, I have AP Stats. Period 2, I have AP Stats. Period 3, I have Math 1. Period 4, I have Math 1. Period 5, we have Math 1, okay? So these are seniors and juniors, freshmen. And let's say, because I want to be fair, I choose 2 students here, 2 students, 2, 2, 2. All right. So this is a little bit better because this time at least I got, 11th and 12th graders here. I got 9th graders right here. There still is under coverage. Okay. There's under coverage of 10th graders and all middle school, right? Because I have not even included them in the sampling frame. I'm making inference about Marshall students, but I did not even pull any of those 6th, 7th, 8th, and 10th grade students. So that's not good. Another term, under coverage is directly tied with non-response bias, okay? Take a look at that in your textbook. Simply, the results fail to represent those who didn't respond. So people who didn't respond or were not even asked to respond, right? Like this survey method fails to represent them. So this is not representative, okay? And let me add one more thing. What if I, Mr. Foucault, asked these students face-to-face or WebEx to WebEx? During class, I called on a student, I said, hey you, Steven. Yeah, Steven, you, unmute yourself and show your video. I want to ask you this question. On a scale of 1 through 5, how do you feel about Dr. Anderson? And I'm gonna do it in front of the whole class, and everyone's gonna see it. I'm gonna say it in a threatening tone. My tone, the presence I ask that question could greatly affect how someone responds, right? Like they may feel intimidated by me. They might think, okay, Mr. Foucault is an adult. He's probably friends with Dr. Anderson, so I don't want to offend him. So I'm gonna go ahead and say 5, right? What I just did as the surveyor, me talking, is that I just produced response bias, okay? Response bias, in a nutshell, it's anything that influences the responses. So the person asking it, right? The tone I use, the language that I use, okay? Anything that influences someone's response is considered responsive bias. So it's very, very broad, okay? Let's say, for example, I'm in real life, I am a baseball fan. I'm a Angels baseball fan. And let's say I was wearing my Angels shirt and I walked up to people at Marshall and I said, hey, do you like the Angels, right? They see that I'm wearing my Angels shirt. They see that I'm their teacher and they don't want to make me feel bad or make me feel sad because the Angels are losing a lot already. And then they say, yes, I do love the Angels, when they really don't. So what I wear, what I say, the timing, the environment, right, that can easily produce response bias. Okay, so that's why it's very important that we randomize and that we give these questions, right? A better way to ask these questions would be in an anonymous survey, a written survey, maybe not face-to-face. That would not be good. Okay, so I hope you can see some of the bias that may be present. All right, so now I get a little bit smarter and I say, all right, so I found out that I just going to my own math classes, these are all my students, right? So that may be kind of biased. So I'm gonna reach out to Spanish classes, Spanish 1, 2, and 3, because I know in, say, for example, Spanish 1, that's not just all 9th graders. It could be different grade levels. And same thing here, Spanish 2, different grade levels, Spanish 3, different grade levels. So I'm gonna go to these classes and I'm gonna survey them, okay? So let's say this time what I'm gonna do is that I stood at door, okay, this is in person, okay? We're in in-person school right now. Let's say I stand at door and hand out a piece of paper and ask students to leave paper in a box. So I learned my lesson from the previous type of survey that I shouldn't ask in person. So on a sheet of paper, I hand it to him and then I say, hey, can you put it in the box? Okay. So what type of bias could be produced here? Does a student need to answer this? Could a student take that paper and just throw it away, make a paper airplane and just fly it across the room? Sure, right? If that happens, if a student doesn't respond or has a choice of responding, this leads to voluntary response bias, okay? This is very interesting. If you look at something like Yelp, I'm not sure if you guys use Yelp or like Google reviews. What type of comments are people more willing to make? Or what type of reviews are people more willing to leave? Negative comments or positive comments? If you said positive, I disagree with you. It's negative, right? Like people, when they're fuming and they're upset, they need an outlet. They need to let the whole world know that they found a piece of hair in their In-N-Out hamburger. So they post about it on Yelp, right? So if it's voluntary, usually, not always, okay, but human nature says, and human nature says that most people, when you get a survey like this, if the feeling of dislike is usually stronger than like. So if it's voluntary, more of these people, more the dislike folks are gonna respond to the survey. The people that are who like or kind of like in the middle, they would not respond as likely. Okay, so this is just another type of response bias. All right, so option 4 now. Say I get tired. This could be a form. Okay, this could be stratified sampling. Okay, because I said I wanted a little bit from Spanish 1, Spanish 2, Spanish 3. But again, there's a group of people that I undercovered, right? I hope you guys can see that each type of sampling method, there's like a downfall. There's a flaw in each one. What group of people did I undercover if I did this? You're right, students who are not taking Spanish 1, 2, or 3. I've completely discluded, I have not included them in my sampling frame. So they're left out, so they're undercovered, okay? So that was pretty tiring. So now I just want to go to 2 classrooms. I just want to go to orchestra and band. And I know in orchestra and band, they have a wide range of grades, okay? So I'm going to now use this as cluster sampling, okay? Let's say I go to each of these classes, because it's already a cluster, right? A cluster of orchestra students, a cluster of band students. And then I ask them to, and then I do a simple random sample. Okay. If I do this together, this produces a multi-stage sampling, okay? Which is better because I randomized here. But again, there's some bias involved here. I've just undercovered what group of students? Students that are not in orchestra or band, right? What if they're taking a different elective? You're not even part of this survey, so how can I include you to represent all Marshall students? Okay. And also, am I forcing you to respond to this? Like, am I going to orchestra class and I won't let you leave the class until you respond? Or am I just giving a paper and making it anonymous? Okay, so those are things that you need to think about. So when you do your project, these are things you need to think through. The aim is to decrease bias as much as possible. A lot of times it's not possible to get rid of it altogether. All right, your textbook gives a lot of great examples about, like very obvious ones that talk about, undercoverage, non-response bias, and things like that. Please read through your textbook. So lastly, I give up. I don't want to go in person to any Marshall schools anymore. I just want to do an Instagram poll. Okay, that's the easiest, fastest, right? So I'm just going to post the question on my Instagram page. on my story, and then I'm gonna just ask people to respond. Okay. Now, if you heard what I said, I'm not randomizing. I'm just asking people to respond. Okay. So this could be convenience sampling. Okay. And since this voluntary, you don't have to do it. This is voluntary response bias. Okay. There's also a non-response bias. I hope you can see that each situation could have more than one type of bias. It could be all three, it could be just one. Okay, it could just be two. Non-response bias because I have, undercovered. Which people have I not included in the sampling frame if I do an Instagram poll? People without Instagram, right? If you don't have Instagram, you can't participate in my poll. All right. So I hope you guys see the difference of the types of bias. We will talk more about this on Tuesday in class, but I hope this lays a foundation. Again, please read your textbook, read through those definitions on page 287. Those would help you out as well. Okay, thanks guys.